Uh, so those who were here before already know Kepa Landa and Marta Botana. Maybe we're going to talk now about the work by Aly Rose, and if you can come into some detail on what it means, how it was built, and yeah.
I just want to say that we will not show the film publicly in China. One is that the monks technically are not allowed to dance with women.
Ajá. Entonces, una cosa importante, esta película no se enseñará públicamente en China. Los monjes tienen prohibido bailar. So you induced them into the scene.
Con mujeres.
Ah, con mujeres, with
Yeah.
women, okay. Con mujeres, sí.
And we filmed at 2 different monasteries. And in one of the monasteries, it's very well known, people in their sometimes 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s will go there to be taken care of in the end of their life and to die there.
Entonces, algunos de estos monasterios, filmaron 2, sirven como de casa de jubilación, ¿no? Con gente de 60 hasta 90 años que vienen allí para que se les cuiden y morirse.
And the monastery in Hangzhou is built next to a very large cemetery as well.
Entonces, uno de esos monasterios está al lado de un cementerio.
And also, they keep the tradition, a very old tradition, of where a monk can decide the end of his life. In time and space, he may feel that it's his time to depart this earth, and they will burn him as we showed in the film.
¿Alive?
I mean, he's kind of old, but yes, alive, if that's his choice. But it's a practice that isn't allowed legally anymore in China,
Okay.
but is still practiced in
Entonces,
reality.
cuando uno de los monjes llega a una edad ya donde siente que va a morirse, lo enmuran y lo queman vivo. Aunque ahora no esté autorizado, pero...
Many people miss in the film that actually he's deciding his time to go, and in the brick, that's where they're burning him, and he continues on.
This was a real monk.
Real place where they...
You filmed a real monk.
No. I mean,
okay.
no.
Good. Entonces, en este caso es como tomó la decisión, lo que vemos aquí de el que están enmurando y quemando, es la gente no se da cuenta, pero es este acto. Entonces le he preguntado, no queman a alguien de verdad, ¿eh? Esto es para la película.
So we showed the film one time in Shanghai at the school where I teach at NYU, and the audience, they were not able as a group to get into the art, to ask questions, to even think of the film in any way except for everyone saying, you can't do that in China, I don't know why you're filming that, it's wrong what you did, you should never show that, and you did that. That was basically the discussion.
You mean about the burning of people, or
No, it's
also
not. It's like a self-immolation, where but it's also a sacred practice where you can decide it's my time to leave the earth in a very peaceful way, and I'm ready to go.
Entonces, en la recepción, cuando lo enseñó en Shanghai, en NYU,
New York University.
So that's what I thought. Entonces, ella es profesora en la New York University, pero en Shanghai. Cuando lo enseñaron ahí, lo que recibió la audiencia es sobre todo que está prohibido esta autoinmolación y que no debería haber filmado esto, no debería mostrarse eso. Es ese el contenido. No entraron nada en si es artístico, si tiene un valor creativo. Es este mensaje el que sentó mal, en cierto modo.
And the monks wanted me to make a documentary about their daily life, helping people take care of them, feed them, wash them. They wanted me to do a documentary about what they do in the monastery day to day.
Entonces los monjes lo que querían era como un documental sobre sus actividades cotidianas de limpiar, cuidar a los pacientes, bueno, a las personas mayores que están en el monasterio.
So, but as I'm a choreographer, and I think I live there in the monastery for a summer, and they get up at 4:30 in the morning, and we do the prayers, and then there's breakfast at 6 with all the old people, and I mean, it was a very hard life. It was a very rigorous reading, praying, chanting, helping people, eating, cleaning, helping people, cleaning, praying, and then, everyone's asleep by 8:30, 9 o'clock at night.
Entonces, Aly Rose compartió la vida de estos monjes, viviendo esta vida tan rigurosa de levantarse a las 4:30, orar, trabajar, cuidar de la gente, comer, trabajar, cuidar de la gente, etcétera, y dormirse muy pronto. Y que fue una experiencia, pues eso, muy, muy ruda, ¿no? Para ella.
Changle Fashi is the head monk for the 2 monasteries that we filmed in, and he and I had a discussion, and I said I don't want to do a documentary. I would like to teach them some dance moves, and then film them. Mm-hmm. And so he said, okay, it sounds good, but we'll use it in the documentary. I said, okay.
Entonces, lo que está expresando es que querían el documental, pero ella dijo, no quiero realmente hacer un documental como coreógrafa. Entonces, lo que dijo el responsable, I won't pronounce the name. Él es que, vale, graba, pero al final lo utilizaremos también para hacer un documental.
So at the end, I knew I was never going to do a documentary, and so at the end, we filmed for 2 weeks, and we filmed from morning till night, and their ages were 16 to 82, were the ages of difference.
Entonces, grabaron durante 2 semanas, desde las 6 de la mañana hasta las 8 de la noche, con gente que va de los 16 años de edad hasta los 80 y pico, los monjes.
And that's what we made. I mean, the translation is actually the words xiao. The first Chinese character is xiaoshun. Xiao means filial piety. It doesn't mean root. But because of Buddhism, I wanted to translate xiaoshun, which is filial piety, to the root chakra in Buddhism, like the root chakra. And then zhong is devotion to something. So I wanted to translate as the heart chakra, and then the voluntad, will. The will is something like here, like solar plexus energy, and then each one was then we go to thought. So thought for me is shenren, which means wisdom. So it's like when you get into your mind and it becomes very cerebral, you sort of lose. You're not so much focused on the body. You're more focused in another world of your thoughts. And then at the end, to the form, which is li, which means ritual in Chinese. Li is ritual, the way that things must be done. The body has a certain construct, but in each part you leave the body. So for me, that's sort of like, in Chinese we say feng huang nipan, which is nirvana, like when the phoenix is burned and rises again. That's it.
Okay. Bueno, y hace un poco referencia a los diferentes términos que aquí se han traducido como se han podido, pero que hacen referencia a los diferentes chakras de la religión budista, para resumir. So thank you very much, but I am surprised that such somehow an abstract and joyful and pleasant to watch film, you had such a premise which is kind of hard and at the same time very narrative. So it's surprising to see what's behind it. We will talk about it later. So, Fule, please.
Hello. I had a question for you, but I will keep it for later.
So Fuller will talk about both the film and specifically the question of editing and non-editing in the continuous movement. A question before you start. You did really shoot it in one shot?
Yes.
No cheating?
No. What do you think?
I think that maybe there is some cheating at some points. There might be.
No.
No, it's possible to shoot it in one.
Yeah.
Single shot.
No. There is one trick, which is in the beginning. Well, I should ask you before.
The door.
What do you think? No. What do you think? Which point? Yeah. Tell me what you think about the single shot. Is it a single shot, or where? If I cut.
Columns?
No, with the columna it's not a cut.
But the doors?
The fact is we realized after it was a big place, and half of the part was with halogen and tungsten. It's not the same light, so not the same color, and we could not correct it. So it seems it's a cut, but it's not. It will be difficult to do a cut because you need to do some tracking to keep the horizontal and the movement. So it's not a cut. But there is another cut. Mm-hmm. You didn't notice it? Yes, in the beginning. When you go outside of the room.
Yes, that's the one I was meaning.
So if you watch it very carefully, I don't know if we can watch it again, it's a very specific effect because he's going out of the mirror. I don't know, you don't notice it very well, but because it's very fluid and fast. But the first scene when he's inside the room is we are looking through the mirror, and then he escapes from the mirror and comes into the reality. And this effect is called contact. It comes from a film, I think an American film, was shot in the 90s, I guess. Yeah, and he created this effect, beautiful on the same effect with a mirror. Okay. So it's an incrustation. It's not very a cut. We incrust. There is two sequences. The first sequence and then the second sequence is an incrustation. How do you say? Incrustation?
Incrustation?
Like okay. Yeah, in the mirror. And then we take off. Yeah.
Un pequeñísimo resumen porque nos va a presentar un poco la cuestión de la toma continua, porque esta película tiene la gran virtuosidad de haber sido rodada en una sola toma con la cámara moviéndose continuamente y sin cortes, excepto un pequeño corte que hay al inicio, que es cuando entra y sale del espejo y luego sale por la puerta, ¿no? Que tiene un efecto narrativo también.
Sorry, yeah, I can...
No. Since you also have knowledge of choreography and of cinema, and in single shot, like those two things are very intertwined. What came before in your idea? What did you think of first? Of the movement of the camera, thus like the editing, let's say, like what would be closer to the camera, what would be farther away, or of the movement of the dancers as if it was going to be performed live, let's say. So which one of those came first, or did they come together in the process? So which was the...
It depends of any project. If I have time, I prefer to choose a location, then think about the camera, and then put the dance inside. I've done both. I couldn't say what is the best. Everything is written, obviously. For this time, it was so fast. We just have 2 days, so I tried to mix everything in the same time. Basically, we prepare the choreography, and then I think how to film it. But of course, I had something in mind before, and some effect. For example, the camera going through the crowd, and the people going behind. It was an idea I had in my mind. But we work in a studio. Then I keep some things from the studio rehearsal. I try to put everything together in the space, and then the story come, and then we try to put the camera after.
It wasn't changing. I think that's kind of reverse editing, like you kind of have to have the idea of what it would be like with single shot. I think that's very important to think about, that you have to have an idea of the editing but you have to do it live and kind of think of how to go from somewhere to somewhere else in image. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm being clear.
Like the camera, I think in this film the camera is not main actor, is more like emphasizes the movement. For example, when the girl become alone, we just open the frame to emphasize the effect.
Yes.
And that's. I don't. Yeah, we can open to a discussion, or if we can talk about different tricks. That's the interest and a bit the conclusion about what I wanted to say is to find the different ways to give rhythm to a film and to rather than to cut, how we can manage to give the rhythm. And yeah, you want to say something? Yeah. So I don't know. I can give example if you want, but if you have some ideas.
Yeah, and maybe also we, I don't know, it's, we have some time, but maybe we can talk about the other films and compare. First, you had a question, I think, for Aly Rose that you had kept in the memory buffer or not. But if we go on, I would like to ask you also about the music choices. Marta and Kepa, I think you had a music which was pre-existing, and somehow the editing is not so much influenced by it. But Aly Rose, you really have was the music composed? I mean, did you choose the music and edit on it? Did someone put the music on it? But it's
very
really
tragic. We chose our music, we edited, and then we sought the permission because we're using NYU equipment. We have to pay to use the music.
Yes.
And a lot of people, the Taiwanese, the Tibetans, all refused for us to use their music because they were afraid of getting in trouble for some message in the film. So we had to go again. Then we stopped editing after we didn't receive permission, and then go back in and write to different. We had like 3 or 4 different. There are like 3 or 4 different versions of Monk. The first version I think is better, but the music we didn't get the permission from the artist or from the distribution company. So this is the 3rd edit that you have, which is these people allowed us to pay them for the use of the music.
Okay. So it's different musics that pre-existed and that you kind of edited with...
I mean, like the filming of the face with the bad image, I think the piece is very different with different music.
Yes.
For me, there's a happier tone in the beginning, and now with this music, it's not as happy. It's somehow sad. Yeah.
Okay. And maybe also fuller, the music here, also it's very organic with dance and with the movement of the camera. Is it a music that somehow the dancers heard or had in mind, or it's something that was composed afterwards? Because if we talk about continuous movement, also the music in itself makes a continuity, or on the contrary, a disruption. But in this case, it's a very continuous music.
So that was your question as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So about the music, I want to take my time to answer. What do you think?
I think the music is composed afterwards and matches like the changes in energy, but I don't know.
So basically what I try, it's a rare question because I try to focus on the concept of single shot, which is a bit wider than just the technique, but also kind of philosophy, I don't know. But my problem is with the music, because usually I do the film and then I put the music. So music is like post-production, is like editing, and I'm thinking how to match the music with this concept. For this film, I tried, so the music was live, on spot. But it was a very bad idea, too complicated. So we made lots of rearrangement after. But for your question, because I was screaming, so the music was spread in the space for the dancers. The musicians were improvising with a screen, so they could watch the camera, improvise. The dancer could hear the music, and they were recording. It was 2 guitars recording by cable. The sound. So they cannot hear me. Okay. I'm not expert in that, but that's how we made.
The dancers cannot hear you?
No. The musician cannot hear me. Or like they are recording. You know, there is two exits. One for the dancers and one for the record. So the record is only fixed by a cable on the guitar. We don't record the sound. And then, there was a bit of post-production for some sounds and things like that. Okay. For my last film, I tried to do a post-production film, another film, which is not finished. Or we do after, but we try to do in a single shot. You know, we do post-production, but in a single shot. But it was with children and 8 years old, so it didn't work. I had to cut. But that's my. So it's an important question how to deal with music.
No. Questions, preguntas. I have also a question for Aly Rose. How did you decide? I mean, you chose the location, but how did you decide the composition? I mean, was it the places that inspired you a composition and a dance, or did you have a dance in mind and then you chose the location? And I mean, and where do you come from? I mean, are you coming more from choreography or more from plastic arts or?
I'm a dancer choreographer. I was trained at the Beijing Dance Academy in China. Okay. I moved to China first time in 1994 and then again 1997, and I lived in Guizhou in the southwest with the Miao people for 3 years, and then went to Beijing, and then after the Olympics, then went to New York, and then was in New York for 9 years, and now moved to Shanghai. My background's in choreography. I have no training whatsoever with film or shooting. Although I feel that choreography is very much related to what directors do. In China, we have a lot of opportunities to do mass dance, like 1,000 people, 500 people. So we have a lot of opportunities to choreograph with a lot of people, and so you have to have a plan. And I think that, I don't know, I don't think I was ever great at anything. Like, I was never great at that choreography, but I understood that this is the environment in which you do that, you learn that. I don't know, and then, you know, honestly, Monk was the first narrative thing that I've ever attempted. Everything we did before that was just filming dance and editing dance, and then because it didn't have professional dancers, the reason I started to edit the dance was because I used students, and the students were, you know, there's places where it needs a lot of work, so I started to edit to make them look good. And then because of that, I started to learn how to use the software, and then, you know, that's it.
Okay.
I had a question for you also. I was also very impressed because of the very good photography of this film, and I found that really there was some scenes that were very impressive, like the monks in the rocks in the water, and the others with the cascade and also in the water. And how did you manage that, and how did you convince them to do these things? Or
Okay, so the reality is that the monks don't want to do all that. The water was very cold and it was about to rain and we're going to end the day and they want to eat. Everything's about eating. So, I was like, okay guys, we will not have dinner at 5:30 if we do not film this shot. And then no one wanted to be in the water. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get in the water and I'm going to show you you can do it. So then, it's also, there's layers and layers of cultural complexity. If you have a white woman who's speaking Chinese, who's asking you to do something, there's like this feeling of obligation to do it. If I was a Chinese man, they may just say no. If you're the head monk, he said that they would never do that for him. So I think there's like this layer of, you're pulling on all the strings you can. You're a foreign woman, you speak Chinese, you're there, you've been living there. But they did not really want to do up and down the stairs. We had many monks after the third time of going up the stairs. It goes up 2,000 steps. They refused. They said, I'm not doing it. They said, we quit. So that was hard because we had a whole thing with the monks standing on the stairs and doing a movement. But then they have to come down the stairs and they refused to go back up the stairs. So we just cut that out. So that fountain with them standing is right in the middle of the cemetery. And I didn't know there would be water because they cut the water normally. When there are no guests coming to the cemetery to put the flowers on the grave, there's no water. So they only turn on the water when the people come to the cemetery. So every time I was there, I'm not a person who's coming in their mind visiting anybody, so there's no water. So the day that it was raining, the first day I arrived there were people who were visiting the graves and they turned on the water and I said, we've got to film the dance here. This is why is there no water before? So that's why. And then when they turn on the water, everyone goes in the water. Yeah. But the monks can do amazing things. They can sit for 3-4 hours without moving. They can chant. They do a lot of hard work, but it's very hard for them to do something for dance. Yeah, and they wrote something in Hangzhou about how much they changed from the whole process of working and collaborating and doing something. They said that they really have a newfound respect for the body. Yeah, I think that's a great thing. Yeah.
It was so, Ali, it was a pleasant experience for you, or I mean.
It's always, I think it's always hard work. Like there's always some there's always a lot of work involved. And even the things that we do, even without the camera there's lots of, crisis and victory. There's lots of, I believe that every human being has the right to dance and can dance and should be filmed, can be filmed. In China, I say that our education in China relating to dance is that you should become a professional dancer. You're going to be trained for 10 years, 12 years. Those people should be in the camera. The idea that the common person is going to be filmed is considered, there's a word for it in Chinese about ugly dance. This is ugly dance. And so sometimes when I'm introduced in China, they say she's the queen of ugly dance. Meaning that you're doing something with people who are not, with the leg here, and they're not doing many turns and tricks, and it's not about virtuosity. But I don't, I see beauty in all of it. The water, the monk, the person sitting on the ground. I think there's a beauty there, and I think that in China, in arts education, it would be great to have it expand to include the beauty of the everyday.
I was not able to say if it was documentary or choreography sometimes. Like for example in the water, in the stairs, I I thought you was inspired by some practice from the monk, like they do it every month, or like being on this place and doing something with the water for. But it was
a metaphor. So they have a whole process where they do the bows and then they chant as they walk.
The microphone.
They chant as they walk. So in the yellow, in each situation, it's inspired by the thing that you're seeing. There's a real life situation where the yellow stools, where they walk, they pace, and they do this on and on, and they go on and on and on, and it goes on for an hour, and then they stand again and they bow, and then they have a whole song that they do again and again and again. So we film that, but I didn't know what to do with that. And then we film them in the water doing the dance with the hands and the scooping and the heart, and we filmed all that in our that was my long shot, by the way. I had one long shot. It was 3 minutes, and we were really proud of that long shot. That was great for us. But yeah, I mean, then with the end, there was the challenge of every single thing that actually happens, putting a symbolic dance to it, like allowing it to have a place in a dance form. For me, the ritual of ending one's life in that way deserved the circle dance. And for the water and the scooping of the water and into the chest, onto the head, into the heart, was like the ritual where they chant. And so everything has its place according to their lifestyle. And the rocks, they said they never walked in their entire life over those rocks that are there. And then a lot of them, they don't swim. So, and it was so many mosquitoes. I felt so bad that day because there were so many mosquitoes biting them. And they kept doing this, and I kept saying, you guys, every time you move, we have to start all over again. So now we have to do the dance all over again. So she's wet in the dance. She's wet because we had to film over and over and over again because they kept touching their face for the mosquitoes. Yeah. I mean, so I said, every time you guys move, we're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. Yeah.
So when they're sitting on the rocks, it's you choose a place and you.
Yeah, I mean, they had to.
This guy under the water.
Yeah, I put him underwater. He's also the most disobedient one of them all. So I said, "You're going to go under the water," and he didn't. But he got promoted now. He's promoted. He said that he suffered a lot in this film and that he's promoted. But the monastery wanted to do something for promotion for what they're doing, and I think that in some way they felt that this is art and it doesn't relate to what they do in their life. And they said it may be beautiful for you and beautiful, they said, for all those Europeans, but it doesn't help us to introduce what we do here in China. And I said, that's correct. That's correct.
So maybe we can close now the session. So we have seen the use of architecture and the body with the architecture with very different pieces. So as we summarized, here you could explore pure improvisation where maybe you repeat the improvisation, but somehow you are free to do whatever you want and repeat it as you want, and the camera will record and set the framing. Yours, you have really to be very careful, not because the camera is moving or whatever, but because you want a specific distribution. So it's a very complicated, actually, choreography, I think, to get and to frame and to get these beautiful results afterwards. And yours is kind of, I don't know if it's Anna Teresa de Kersmacher level of precision, but somehow you have to move the dancers, they have to be very precise, and the choreography of the camera, that's something which is really, 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 the persons were like, even if it was voluntary, but they were kind of professional camera people, probably. And somehow they had to understand very well choreography and movement and being here and there. Thank you very much for your presence and your very interesting insights on screen dance.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
Thank you.